You wake with a start in the dim light of dawn. Something is off. The blinds move ever so slightly, but there's no breeze. On the wall, the security camera's red light blinks. It should be off. You sit up, heart pounding. In the mirror, your eyes dart to a movement behind you, a faint reflection. The camera lens swiveling, tracking you. Your phone buzzes with a notification. A like on a photo you shared. A photo you thought was private. Somewhere, a pair of eyes follows your every move. The feeling isn't just paranoia. It's real. In the shower, you imagine footsteps beyond the glass. In your kitchen, you flinch at the hum of the refrigerator. Convinced the microphone hidden inside picked up your whispered phone call. Outside, the streetlights glare down like watchful sentinels. Every passerby is both stranger and witness. When you walk into work, the elevator monitors your badge and logs your nervous glance at the ceiling camera. Even here, you're under scrutiny. You swallow hard, suddenly exhausted. You feel exposed, raw, and wildly anxious, even as you force a smile and pretend nothing's happening. Gradually, the dread turns your veins to ice. You start scanning shadows and reflecting surfaces for the next set of eyes, the next camera, the next betrayal. Sleep, once a refuge, has become impossible. There's no escape, even in dreams. You dream in CCTV, chased by faceless watchers. The line between reality and fear blurs. What is happening to your mind under this unrelenting gaze? Research shows this isn't just doom and gloom fiction. A recent review on security technology found that constant surveillance brings privacy invasion, surveillance-related stress, and paranoia, all of which can erode mental health. Every new camera or tracking device isn't just a gadget. It rewires the brain's alarm systems. In short-term stress, cortisol spikes and then falls. But under 24/7 surveillance, that alarm stays stuck on high. Cortisol and adrenaline flood your system day and night. Studies find that when our bodies are constantly flooded with adrenaline and cortisol, the toll is severe chronic exhaustion, frequent illness, insomnia, and even digestive problems. Mentally, these hormones twist our thoughts. Attention wavers, irritability grows, and depression can set in. In effect, the brain itself begins to shrink under stress. Researchers observed chronically high cortisol linked to reduced brain volume, memory loss, and mood disorders. Cortisol overload. Normally, cortisol helps in fight or flight, but when it never stops, it damages the brain. In high-stress conditions, people suffer memory problems, mood swings, and depression. Chronic surveillance can imitate this. Instead of protecting you, cortisol starts eroding your mind. It's hypervigilance. Your brain is meant to be alert, in danger, but non-stop monitoring keeps it in perpetual vigilance. Over time, this wears down both body and psyche. You may find yourself obsessively scanning rooms, unable to relax, jumping at every sound. Relationships fray. Trust falters because paranoia colors every encounter. Paranoia and fear. When surveillance feels omnipresent, even innocent cues look menacing. Research shows people who feel watched can develop symptoms akin to PTSD. One psychologist noted that human rights activists under constant observation in Ethiopia developed fear so profound that they could have post-traumatic stress disorder-like symptoms, not from violence, but from constant fear of it. Fear feeds on itself, creating a loop of despair. In effect, every new pair of eyes on you triggers neural circuits for threat. Neuroscience research from the University of Technology, Sydney, found that simply knowing you're under surveillance changes your brain's perception. In experiments, people under CCTV monitoring identified faces nearly a full second faster than those who weren't being watched. This suggests our basic sensory processing ramps up defensively when we feel observed. It's as if the mind secretly says, "Alert predator nearby." These are reflexes hardwired from evolution to spot threats. When under surveillance, you don't just think someone's watching, your brain acts on it unconsciously. In the UT study, participants weren't even aware their perception was changing, yet their brains became hypersensitive to faces. On an unconscious level, your brain floods with threat signals. Parts of the limbic system, including the amygdala, the fear center, grow extra alert. Over weeks, neuroimaging studies show the amygdala can become hyperactive under chronic stress, intensifying fear and anxiety. You literally begin to see danger everywhere. Neural retuning has a cost. Imagine trying to read a book while a siren blares in your ear. Permanently, attention and focus collapse. A new analysis warns that being constantly monitored taxes attention and working memory. In a way, your mental resources are being diverted into the surveillance, leaving fewer left for thinking, planning, or even basic concentration. People begin to make mistakes or struggle with simple tasks. In fact, researchers note that extreme monitoring can lower performance, exactly because the mind is preoccupied. Physically, the signs emerge too. Heart rate climbs and stays elevated. You might sweat at odd moments or feel your muscles tense for no reason. These are classic fight-or-flight responses. Every time a camera clicks, it's like your brain is getting a small electric jolt. Stay alert. Stay alive. With each jolt, your body releases more stress chemicals. Over years, this can lead to chronic anxiety disorders or burnout. In fact, surveys find real effects. In one study, 56% of employees under electronic surveillance reported feeling tense or stressed at work, compared to only 40% of those not monitored. The constant gaze doesn't just track your work, it frays your nerves. Workplace monitoring. One American survey found that over half of monitored workers felt heightened stress. Companies may think cameras boost productivity, but the opposite often happens. Tired, anxious employees focus less. Activists and citizens. Reports from authoritarian regimes make it chillingly clear. People who know anyone is watching adapt their behavior to avoid any perceived mistake. Eroding free expression and mental peace. In Mexico, for example, constant CCTV and sting operations have made even streets feel hostile, leading some to anxiety crises. Psychological studies. Long-standing psychological research shows any subject under observation changes. The famed panopticon concept proved that just the possibility of surveillance is enough to control behavior. Modern studies echo this. Being watched infiltrates our mind beyond conscious behavior, subtly shifting our thoughts and feelings. It even links to pathological paranoia. People with schizophrenia or social anxiety, who already fear being watched, tend to get worse in heavily surveilled environments. Together, the data paints a clear picture. Constant surveillance is a form of chronic stress. Over time, it rewires neural circuits, amplifies anxiety, and can precipitate serious mental health problems. The systems meant to protect safety can turn into instruments of psychological harm. The observer's reflection. Night falls, and you lie awake, drenched in sweat. The apartment is quiet except for the soft hum of electronics. You realize you can't remember what day it is, only that you've been awake for too long. Somewhere, a camera's red LED is still flickering. You want to scream that it's unfair, this relentless watching, but the exhaustion keeps your lips sealed. And then you see it. In the dark corner of your ceiling, just barely visible, the silhouette of a figure is imprinted in your retina from memory. Someone is there, someone who's been watching you watch the watchers. A soft click as a hidden camera swivels again, as if acknowledging its gaze upon you. In that moment, you understand, the horror isn't just being watched 24/7, it's being watched always by yourself. The paranoia you felt was not a fantasy, but a seed planted in your mind by real eyes. You realize the watchers are part of you now, your own thoughts turned against you. If this scenario chilled you to the bone, remember, the mind is its own panopticon. Every secret, every glance, all observed, recorded, and dissected by the neural horrors inside. We explore these dark corners of consciousness on Cerebral Fear. Hit subscribe if you dare, and stay vigilant. Someone might be watching you right now.